The first time Sabrina Bell knocked on my door in a robe, I had one foot in a brand new hot tub and the emotional stability of a paper plate in a stiff breeze. I'm not proud of that sentence, but it's accurate. It was 6:43 on a Friday evening, still bright enough for the last slice of sunlight to sit on the fence line behind my townhouse. I was 25, self-employed as a cabinet installer, and standing barefoot on my back patio in swim trunks, holding a plastic cup of ginger ale like it was champagne. The hot tub hummed behind me. The jets glowed blue. The little waterproof speaker on the railing was playing a playlist called Definitely Fine, which should tell you exactly how fine I was. Then came the knock. Not a polite knock, 3 sharp taps, confident, almost annoyed. I walked through the kitchen, dripping a little from the foot I had already dipped in, and opened the front door. Sabrina stood there in a white terry cloth robe, her dark hair twisted up with a pencil, one bare shoulder showing where the robe had slipped, just enough to ruin my ability to form intelligent thoughts. She lived in the townhouse beside mine. Unit 12B, art teacher at the community center, owner of one very dramatic orange cat named Biscuit. The kind of woman who could carry a bag of groceries, correct your pronunciation of bruschetta, and make you feel like you had missed an important meeting all at the same time. She looked me over once. Swim trunks, damp foot. Plastic cup, probably the expression of a man pretending loneliness was a lifestyle choice. Then she lifted her chin and said, "You're not getting in that hot tub alone." I blinked. Hello to you too. I saw the steam from my kitchen window. That feels like something you should admit less casually. And I saw the single cup. I looked down at the ginger ale in my hand. Maybe I'm a minimalist. You have 5 different kinds of drill bits labeled by mood. That is organization. That is a cry for help. I leaned against the doorframe because my legs had developed opinions. Sabrina, are you here to insult my storage system or my hot tub etiquette? Yes. Her eyes flicked past me toward the hallway, then back to my face. For half a second, her expression softened. That was the thing about Sabrina. She teased like a woman with a fencing medal. But sometimes she looked at you like she had read the page you were trying to keep folded. Also, she added, you didn't invite anyone. I laughed too fast. It's a hot tub, not a christening. Nolan? That was me. Nolan Hayes. The way she said my name did something inconvenient to my chest. I'd lived next to her for 8 months. Long enough to know she drank cinnamon coffee, hated wind chimes, and sang Motown badly when she cleaned her car. Long enough to notice that when she painted on her porch, she bit the inside of her cheek. Long enough to stop calling her my neighbor when talking to my sister and start calling her Sabrina, like the name itself explained the problem. The problem was simple. I liked her. Not in the vague, harmless way men say they like a woman because she's pretty. Sabrina was pretty, sure. Warm brown eyes, quick mouth, the kind of presence that made a room sit up straighter. But I liked the way she paid attention. The way she remembered that my mother's surgery had been on a Wednesday. The way she'd left soup on my porch without making me perform gratitude when I came home exhausted. The way she called me out when I disappeared into work instead of asking for help. And because I liked her, I had done the responsible, cowardly thing. I had kept it neighborly, mostly. Who says I didn't invite anyone? I asked. Sabrina's mouth tilted. Your face. My face lies. Your face has the poker skills of a golden retriever. I should have shut the door, not rudely, just enough to preserve what remained of my dignity. Instead, I said, maybe I wanted one quiet evening. In a 6-person hot tub you've been talking about installing since March? I never said 6 people. You said, and I quote, it's technically rated for 6, but only if nobody brings emotional baggage. I was making a point about weight distribution. She folded her arms. The robe shifted again. I looked at her eyes like a gentleman and a survivalist. Then her voice dropped. Is today your birthday? My fingers tightened around the cup. That was the real reason for the hot tub. Not that I needed one. Not that my back hurt from crawling under cabinets all week. Not even because I'd gotten a good deal from a client who remodeled his deck. I bought it because last year on my birthday, my girlfriend at the time, Lauren, had ended dinner by telling me she loved the idea of me more than she loved me, which was a fancy way of saying she wanted my steadiness, but not my heart. I'd spent the next year becoming useful to everyone and available to no one. Sabrina knew pieces of that, not all. I hadn't exactly hosted a slideshow. How did you know? I asked. Your sister brought you cupcakes this morning. She parked in my spot, apologized, then told me if I saw you acting weird tonight, I should intervene. I closed my eyes. Maddie needs a hobby. She has one. Apparently it's exposing you. She said weird? She said tragically noble. That's worse. Sabrina smiled, but it didn't last. Were you really going to sit out there by yourself? I looked past her shoulder. Across the small shared courtyard, a couple from Unit 9 was carrying takeout inside. A dog barked somewhere. The evening smelled like cut grass, chlorine, and somebody grilling onions. Normal life. Happening around me like I hadn't been planning to celebrate my birthday with ginger ale and emotional avoidance. I was going to test the jets, I said. In swim trunks. Safety first. With the sad playlist? I frowned. You heard that. My kitchen window was open. And Nolan, no man listens to Landslide while testing jets unless the jets have wounded him personally. That got me. I laughed, the real kind, the kind that escaped before I could make it cool. Sabrina's face changed when I laughed, like she'd won something she hadn't admitted she wanted. Then she stepped closer. Not all the way in. Just over the threshold, close enough that I caught the scent of coconut lotion and turpentine soap. Close enough that the hallway narrowed around us. I made a deal with myself, she said. That sounds dangerous. It usually is. What deal? She glanced down, then back up at me. For once, there was no joke waiting on her tongue. If you invited people, I would stay out of it. If you had a date, I would pretend not to notice and feed biscuit treats until I stopped being petty. My pulse gave one slow, stupid thud. And if I was alone? I asked. She lifted one shoulder. Then I was going to knock. In a robe? Her confidence flickered, and that flicker did more damage than the robe ever could. I have a swimsuit on under it, she said quickly. I'm not unhinged. I didn't say unhinged. You looked like you were thinking it. I was thinking several things, but unhinged wasn't the headline. Her cheeks warmed, and there it was. The line we had never stepped over, suddenly visible between our feet. For months we'd traded favors like responsible adults. I fixed the hinge on her pantry door. She saved my tomato plant from whatever slow death I was giving it. I carried her kiln shelves upstairs. She brought me coffee after I worked late. Neighborly things, but this did not feel neighborly. This felt like Sabrina Bell had been standing on the other side of the same invisible line, waiting to see if I would notice her there. I swallowed. Why would you be petty if I had a date? Her eyes narrowed like she regretted speaking English. I said Biscuit would be petty. No, you said you would feed Biscuit treats until you stopped being petty. That doesn't sound like me. It sounded exactly like you. She looked toward my kitchen, where the patio door stood open and steam drifted lazily past the glass. Then she did something I wasn't prepared for. She reached out and took the plastic cup from my hand, sipped my ginger ale, made a face, and handed it back. Birthday drinks are supposed to be better than that. You came here to criticize my beverage program? I came here, she said, because you're kind to everyone but yourself and it's starting to annoy me. That landed harder than it should have. I glanced at her robe. And the hot tub? She arched an eyebrow. I also came because I've been watching you build that thing for 3 weekends. And if you think I'm letting you have the first soak without me, you have misunderstood our entire relationship. Our relationship? The word hung there. Sabrina heard it too. Her fingers tightened at the knot of her robe. Our neighborly arrangement. Right. Strictly adjacent. Fence sharing. Tool borrowing. Cat tolerating. She smiled. You like Biscuit. Biscuit judges my life choices. He has range. We stood there grinning at each other like two idiots who had found a door and were both pretending it was a wall. Then from my kitchen, my phone buzzed. Once, twice, 3 times. Sabrina glanced past me, popular for a man testing jets. I turned and saw the screen lighting up on the counter. Maddie? Then Maddie again. Then a text preview appeared. Please tell me Sabrina knocked. I may have told her too much. Sabrina's eyes went wide. I looked back at her slowly. Too much? She grabbed for the phone. I lifted it out of reach. Nolan. Oh no, I said, stepping backward into the hall. Now I have to know. Her robe sleeve slipped down her arm as she followed me in, cheeks flushed, eyes bright, all nervousness and challenge. Give me the phone. Not until I find out what my sister told you. Sabrina stopped in my kitchen doorway, the steam from the patio curling behind her like some ridiculous movie scene. And then my phone buzzed one more time. A new text filled the screen. I told her you've had a crush on her since the day she yelled at you about the recycling bins. There are moments in a man's life when dignity is still technically recoverable. This was not one of them. Sabrina read the text over my shoulder. I knew she read it because her mouth opened, closed, then opened again without any sound coming out, which for Sabrina Bell was basically a medical event. I looked at the phone, then at her, then back at the phone, like perhaps the words might rearrange themselves into something less fatal. They did not. I told her you've had a crush on her since the day she yelled at you about the recycling bins. Sabrina slowly lifted her eyes to mine. The recycling bins? I cleared my throat. In my defense, you were very passionate. You put cardboard in the trash. And you gave a speech. It was not a speech. You said, the planet is not your junk drawer, Nolan. She pressed her lips together. I pointed at her. See? Memorable. Her cheeks were pink, but her eyes had gone soft in a way that made my pulse misbehave. So, she said, drawing the word out, your sister knows you have a crush on me. My sister thinks she knows many things. Does she know this thing? I set the phone face down on the counter. It buzzed again immediately, and I ignored it with heroic effort. Sabrina took one step closer. The kitchen suddenly felt too small for 2 people and all the unsaid things we'd been politely stacking between us for 8 months. Nolan, I rubbed the back of my neck. Yes. Yes, your sister knows? Yes, I have a crush on you. It came out plain, no joke, no exit ramp. Sabrina's expression changed so quickly I almost missed it. Surprise, pleasure, a flash of nerves, then something brighter and braver. I rushed on because silence felt like standing on a ladder with no hands. I wasn't going to do anything about it. We live next door to each other. If I asked you out and you said no, then we'd both have to perform casual friendliness while taking out trash for the rest of our leases. And I didn't want to make you uncomfortable. Her eyebrows lifted. You thought liking me would make me uncomfortable. No, I thought knowing might. She studied me for a second, then untied her robe. My brain unplugged. Sabrina. What? I'm trying to have an honorable conversation. I have a swimsuit on. She shrugged out of the robe and draped it over a chair. The swimsuit was black. Simple. One piece. It should not have been catastrophic. It was catastrophic. She watched my face with deep satisfaction. You were saying? I stared at the refrigerator. I have forgotten every word I have ever learned. That's unfortunate. You were doing well. I was. You were being considerate. She moved past me toward the patio door, close enough that her arm brushed mine. Annoyingly considerate. I can be less considerate. Can you? I followed her outside because apparently I was a man led by steam and bad decisions. The evening had cooled and the hot tub lights turned the water a glowing blue. Sabrina stepped onto the patio, dipped her toes in, and sighed like the sound had been pulled from somewhere private. Oh, that's criminally good. You haven't even gotten in yet. I'm building anticipation. You do that? She glanced back. Do I? I should have pretended not to understand. Instead, because apparently my birthday had become a truth serum event, I said, constantly. Her smile faded at the edges, not with unhappiness, with awareness. Then she sank into the water. I swear the patio got quieter. She settled on one side, shoulders bare above the bubbling surface, hair still pinned up with that pencil, steam curling around her face. She looked at me expectantly. Well? I stood there like an idiot holding my ginger ale. You sure about this? I asked. Nolan, if you ask one more careful question, I'm going to assume you don't want me here. That moved me. Not because she sounded angry, because underneath it, she sounded just a little unsure. I set down my cup, climbed in across from her, and let the heat close over my legs. The jets kicked against my back. I exhaled before I could stop myself. Sabrina smiled. See? Better with company. Most things are. Her gaze held mine. The water churned between us, only 3 feet of it, but it felt like the distance from one life to another. She leaned her head back against the edge. So, since Maddie has thrown a grenade into your kitchen, are we ignoring it or discussing it? I vote we move to another country. Tempting, but I have classes Monday. Then I vote we discuss only the least humiliating parts. Fine. She lifted one wet hand. I'll start. I knew. My heart stopped, then restarted badly. You knew? Not officially, but you fix things that are not broken when you're nervous. I do not. My porch light. That was flickering. My cabinet handle. It had a wobble. My mailbox. That hinge was a public safety issue. My wind chimes. I sank lower in the water. Those were evil. You took them down at midnight. They were haunting me. You replaced them with a little stained glass sun. You said you liked yellow. Her face softened again, and this time she didn't hide it. That's when I knew, she said quietly. Something warm moved through me that had nothing to do with the tub. I looked at my hands under the water. Why didn't you say anything? Same reason you didn't. She made a tiny circle in the bubbles with one finger. We live next door. I didn't want to be the woman you had to dodge at the mailbox if I read it wrong. You didn't. I'm getting that. I laughed under my breath. Maddie is never going to let me forget this. She shouldn't. She's a visionary. She is a menace. She got me into your hot tub, didn't she? I looked up. Sabrina was closer now, not much. The current nudged her knee near mine beneath the water, and neither of us moved away. I'm glad you knocked, I said. Her teasing expression softened into something almost vulnerable. I almost didn't. Why? She looked toward the fence where the last light was going purple. Because you're easy to want, she said, but you're hard to reach. I felt that one in the ribs. I didn't know that. I know. She gave a small smile. You're very busy being fine. The playlist inside shifted songs, something slow and ridiculous floating faintly through the open door. I leaned back and stared at the steam. After Lauren, I decided I was done making people responsible for my feelings. Sabrina's eyes came back to me. So I got good at being useful, I continued. Useful is safe. People like useful. They don't always love it, but they keep it around. Her face changed. Nolan. I shook my head. That sounded more tragic than I meant. No, it sounded honest. I don't want you here because I'm sad. I'm not here because you're sad. She moved closer, the water folding around her. I'm here because I like you, because you remember yellow, because you talk to my cat like he's a difficult landlord, because you laugh with your whole face when you forget to guard it. I couldn't breathe right. She stopped in front of me, close enough that her knee brushed my thigh beneath the water. And because, she added, I have been waiting for you to stop being noble and ask me to dinner. I looked at her mouth. Bad idea. Excellent idea. Dinner, I said. Tomorrow. Her eyes sparked. Is that a question? No. I caught myself and smiled. Yes. Sabrina Bell, will you have dinner with me tomorrow? Where? Anywhere you want. Dangerous offer. I trust you. Thai place on Mercer, 7. Done. She nodded, pretending to be businesslike while her smile tried to escape. Good. Our neighborly arrangement has been amended to include dinner. And possibly dessert, depending on performance. I laughed, and she laughed too, and then the laughter faded, but we didn't move apart. My hand was resting on the bench between us. Hers drifted down, fingers brushing mine under the water. It was barely a touch. It felt like a first kiss. I turned my hand and laced my fingers through hers. Sabrina inhaled softly. For a long moment, we sat there hand in hand, knees touching, steam around us, the whole world reduced to warm water and her thumb tracing once across mine. Then, from inside the house, my phone started buzzing again, like an angry insect. Sabrina glanced toward the kitchen. If that's Maddie, tell her the experiment is progressing. I'm throwing my phone in the tub. You just installed this. I'll build another. She smiled, but the buzzing didn't stop. With great reluctance, I got out enough to grab a towel and the phone from the counter. It was not Maddie. The screen showed a name I hadn't seen in months. Lauren. And beneath it, a text preview. Happy birthday. I'm outside. Can we talk? For a second, the whole patio went quiet in my head. The jet still churned, the speaker still murmured through the open door. Sabrina was still in the hot tub, wet shoulders glowing in the blue light, her hair escaping its pencil one dark strand at a time. But all I saw was Lauren's name. Happy birthday. I'm outside. Can we talk? Sabrina's smile faded. Ex? She asked. I didn't want to lie, not to her. Not when our fingers had been linked 30 seconds ago and my chest still felt rearranged by it. Yeah. She nodded once, expression unreadable. Do you want me to go? The speed of my answer surprised even me. No. Her eyes lifted to mine. I stepped back onto the patio, towel around my shoulders, phone in my hand. I mean, you can if you want to. If this is awkward, I get it. But I don't want you to leave. Something in Sabrina's face softened, but she hid it behind a small, crooked smile. Good. Because I was going to be offended if you made me climb out before the jets got to my lower back. I laughed, relieved and miserable at the same time. Then the doorbell rang. Of course it did. Sabrina winced. Efficient. Lauren was always punctual. That sounded fond. It was meant to sound terrified. Sabrina's smile returned for half a second. I looked at the phone again, then typed, "Now isn't a good time." The reply came almost instantly. Please. 5 minutes. I stared at it. A year ago, I would have gone to the door already. I would have smoothed everything over, managed her feelings, made sure no one was uncomfortable except me. Tonight, Sabrina was watching me like the answer mattered. Not because she wanted to control it, but because she wanted to know who I was going to be. I set the phone down on the patio table. I'm going to tell her I can't talk tonight, I said. Sabrina blinked. You don't have to do that for me. I'm not doing it for you. I paused. Okay, partly because you're here and I want you here, but mostly because I don't owe Lauren my birthday. Sabrina's expression changed again, gentler this time. No, she said quietly. You don't. I pulled on the t-shirt I'd left over a chair because greeting your ex in wet swim trunks while your neighbor crush sat in your hot tub felt like too much even for my new era of honesty. At the front door, I opened it only halfway. Lauren stood under the porch light in a pale blue dress, hair smooth, makeup perfect, holding a small bakery box. For a moment, memory tried to do what memory does. Offer me the polished version. The first dates. The way she used to rest her hand on my arm in restaurants. The time she told me I made her feel safe. Then I remembered sitting across from her last year while she said safety wasn't enough. Hi, Nolan, she said. Hi. Her gaze flicked past me. Can I come in? No. The word landed between us. Her brows lifted. Mine probably did too. I couldn't remember ever saying no to her that cleanly. I just wanted to bring you these. She held out the box. Red velvet, your favorite. They're Maddie's favorite, I said. Lauren's smile faltered. Right, sorry. That tiny mistake did something useful. Not cruel, just clarifying. What did you need? I asked. She shifted on the step. I've been thinking about you, about us. I know I hurt you. I glanced back down the hall. Through the kitchen, I could see the glow from the patio. Sabrina wasn't visible from here, but I could feel her presence like warmth left in my hand. You did, I said. Lauren swallowed. I made a mistake. The old me would have grabbed that sentence like a rope. The new me noticed it wasn't the same as love. I'm sorry, she continued. I know it's unfair to show up tonight, but I thought maybe if we talked, I'm seeing someone. It wasn't technically true in the public, established couple photo way, but it was true in the only way that mattered. I had chosen where I was standing. Lauren went still. Oh, it's new, I said. But it matters. Her eyes searched my face, and I could tell she understood more from my expression than my words. She's here? I didn't answer right away, then I said, yes. Lauren looked down at the bakery box. Of course. There was a twist in my chest, but it wasn't longing. It was grief for the version of me who would have felt chosen by her return. I hope you're well, I said, and meant it. But I can't do this tonight. After a pause, she nodded. Happy birthday, Nolan. Thank you. She held out the box again. I shook my head gently. You should keep them. Her mouth trembled just once. Then she turned and walked back down the path. I closed the door and leaned my forehead against it. Not because I wanted her back, because letting go still takes muscle. When I returned to the patio, Sabrina was sitting exactly where I'd left her, arms folded on the hot tub edge, chin resting on them. Her face was calm, but her eyes were careful. You okay? She asked. I stepped down into the water and sat beside her this time instead of across from her. Yeah, I said. I think I am. She studied me. You told her? I told her I was seeing someone. Sabrina's eyebrows rose. I looked straight at her. If that was too much, I can downgrade it to actively negotiating with a hostile neighbor in swimwear. Her lips twitched. Hostile. You have strong opinions about recycling. And dessert performance. And ginger ale. Ginger ale deserved it. I smiled, but my heart was beating hard. I didn't say it to trap you, I said. I know dinner is just dinner. I know we haven't. Sabrina put her wet fingers against my mouth. Every thought I had stopped. Nolan, she said, if you ruin the first time a man tells his ex he's seeing me by over-explaining it, I will drown you in 3 feet of luxury water. I breathed a laugh against her fingertips. She lowered her hand slowly. You liked that? I asked. Her gaze dipped to my mouth, then back up. I liked that you chose what you wanted, she said, and I liked that it was me. My chest went tight. It is you. The words came out rougher than I meant. Sabrina's teasing vanished. Steam drifted between us. Her knee pressed against mine under the water, deliberate now. Her hand found my wrist, thumb resting over my pulse like she wanted proof. I need you to know something, she said. Okay. I'm not a consolation prize for a woman who came back too late. You're not. I'm not your birthday rebellion. You're not. And I don't want to be the exciting thing you reach for because you're finally mad. I turned my hand and caught hers. You're the thing I was reaching for before I admitted I had hands. For one stunned second, she just stared at me. Then she laughed softly. That was either incredibly romantic or deeply strange. Both can be true. Her fingers tightened around mine. I've wanted you for months, I said. Quietly, inconveniently, with a lot of unnecessary mailbox maintenance. Her smile trembled. Say that again. I've wanted you for months. No, the mailbox part. I laughed and she moved closer while I was laughing, close enough that her wet shoulder touched my chest. The laughter faded. She looked up at me. This time, I didn't ask a careful question. I lifted my hand to her face, giving her all the time in the world to pull away. She didn't. Her eyes slipped half closed before I even reached her. Her skin was warm and damp under my palm. Sabrina, I whispered. Yes, she said, and kissed me first. It was not neighborly, it was soft at the start, a brush of her mouth against mine, almost questioning. Then her hand slid to the back of my neck and the kiss turned certain. The jets hummed around us. My heart kicked so hard I felt it in my throat. I kissed her like I had been trying not to for 8 months. Like I knew the color yellow because of her. Like my birthday had stopped being a bruise and become this. her mouth smiling against mine, her knee between mine, her fingers in my hair. When we finally broke apart, she rested her forehead against my chin. "Well," she murmured. I tried to remember how language worked. "Yeah, that improves the hot tub." "Significantly." She leaned back, eyes bright. "For the record, tomorrow still counts as our first date." "Absolutely." "And tonight counts as?" I brushed a wet strand of hair from her cheek, the neighborly arrangement being permanently ruined. Her smile went soft enough to wreck me. "Good," she said. Inside, my phone buzzed again. We both looked toward the kitchen. Sabrina sighed. "If that's your sister, I'm telling her she wins." I reached for the phone and checked the screen. This time, it was a message from Lauren. "I'm sorry for showing up. I'll leave you alone. I just hope she knows you're worth keeping." I looked at it, then at Sabrina. She read my face. "Everything okay?" I set the phone face down without answering the text. "Yeah," I said, and took her hand again under the water. "Everything important is right here." The morning after Sabrina kissed me in my hot tub, I woke up to a text from Maddie. "Did you ruin the neighborly arrangement?" I stared at the ceiling, smiling like an idiot. Then I typed back, "Permanently." Her reply came with alarming speed. "I knew it. I am a romance genius." A second later, "Do not be weird today. Women hate that. Helpful." I had exactly 10 hours until my first date with Sabrina, which was plenty of time to become the weirdest man alive. I cleaned the kitchen twice. I checked the hot tub chemicals. I changed shirts 4 times before realizing it was 9 in the morning and no one had asked me to be dressed for dinner yet. At 10:12, someone knocked on my back door. I turned. Sabrina stood on the patio in cut-off shorts and a faded green t-shirt, holding 2 coffees and looking entirely too fresh for a woman who had kissed me senseless 12 hours earlier. I opened the door. "Hi," she said. "Hi." We both smiled. Then we both looked away like teenagers. She held out 1 cup. "Cinnamon latte. I brought you the less aggressive version." "I didn't know coffee could be aggressive." "You've been drinking hardware store coffee for years. Your palate is afraid." I took it. Our fingers brushed around the cup. Such a small thing. My entire nervous system applauded. "Thank you," I said. She stepped inside, then stopped. "Is this okay?" "What?" "Me coming over, in daylight, without a robe or a crisis." I liked that she asked. I hated that she felt she had to. I set my coffee down and reached for her hand. "More than okay." Her fingers slipped into mine like they'd been waiting for the invitation. We stood in my kitchen, holding hands in the morning light. No steam, no birthday sadness, no X on the porch. Just Sabrina and me and the soft panic of something new becoming real. She looked at our hands. "This is strange." I stiffened. Her thumb moved over mine. "Good strange." I breathed again. "Yeah," I said. "I was about to be devastated, so thank you for clarifying." She laughed. "You are very dramatic for a man who owns 16 clamps. Clamps are essential." "I'm sure they have feelings. They're supportive." She leaned her hip against the counter. "So, about tonight." "I have a reservation at 7. Her eyebrows lifted. "At the Thai place?" "Yes." "I didn't know they took reservations." "They don't. Nolan." I called, panicked, and asked if there was a way to reduce uncertainty. She covered her mouth, but not before I saw her smile. "The owner took pity on me," I said. "We have a table near the window." "That is either very sweet or a felony." "I prefer sweet." "It is sweet." Her teasing softened. "Very." My phone buzzed on the counter. I glanced down automatically. Lauren. Sabrina saw the name before I could flip it over. A thread of tension crossed her face. Then she schooled it away so fast it hurt more than if she'd shown it. "Ignore it," I said. "You can answer." "I don't want to." "That's different from performing not wanting to because I'm here." I looked at her. There it was again. Sabrina refusing to let me be noble in a way that turned dishonest. I picked up the phone and read the message. Can I pick up the sweater I left at your place? I realized I never got it back. I frowned. She left a sweater here? Sabrina sipped her coffee. Did she? I don't think so. Maybe it's a very slow sweater. I smiled despite myself, then typed, I'll check. If I find anything, I can leave it with the office Monday. Lauren replied, I'd rather get it from you. I didn't answer. Sabrina watched my face carefully. She wants a reason to see me, I said. Probably. I don't want to give her one. Then don't. It sounded simple when she said it, like wanting something could be enough. I typed, that doesn't work for me. If I find it, I'll leave it at the office. Then I silenced the phone and set it face down. Sabrina looked at me for a long second. That was attractive. I blinked. Boundary setting? Competence is hot. I install cabinets for a living. This could get dangerous. Her smile curved. I'm counting on it. The air shifted. We were still holding hands. Her coffee was on the counter. Mine was forgotten. She was close enough that I could see a tiny fleck of gold in her left eye. I tugged gently. She came willingly. Can I kiss you good morning? I asked. Her eyes warmed. You are allowed to be slightly less careful now. Slightly? Don't get arrogant. I slid my hand to her waist. Never. That's a lie. Frequently. She laughed into the kiss. That might have been my favorite part, the way her amusement met my mouth first, then softened into a sigh as she stepped closer. Her hands rested against my chest, fingers curling in my shirt. I kissed her slowly, because I could. Because it was morning, and she had come to me. Because last night hadn't been a fluke or steam or birthday vulnerability. When we parted, she stayed close. I'm nervous, she admitted. The confession surprised me. Sabrina, who knocked in robes and threatened luxury drowning, suddenly looked down at the space between our shoes. I touched her chin gently until she looked up. About us? She nodded. I'm good at wanting things before they're real. I'm less good when they become real. What happens then? I start looking for the crack in the wall. I understood that too well. And if you find one? I asked. I pretend I don't care about the house. The words were light, but her eyes weren't. I set my mug aside and gave her my full attention. You don't have to pretend with me. Her smile was small. That's a dangerous promise. It's not a promise, it's an invitation. She stared at me, then leaned forward and pressed her forehead to my chest. I wrapped my arms around her, not dramatically, not to fix anything, just to hold her because she had reached for me and I wanted to be the place she landed. After a moment, she murmured, This is a lot for a man I yelled at over cardboard. I deserved it. You did. My trash habits brought us together. Never say that on our wedding day. I went still. She went still too. Then she lifted her head, eyes wide. That was a joke. Was it? Yes. Shame. Her mouth parted. I grinned before she could panic. That was also a joke. She narrowed her eyes. You are learning to weaponize sincerity. I had a good teacher. Her face softened. Dinner tonight? Dinner tonight. And until then, no overthinking? I can promise reduced overthinking. Acceptable. At 7, she opened her front door before I could knock. She wore a blue sundress and silver earrings shaped like tiny moons. Her hair was down, loose over her shoulders, and for a second I forgot the speech I had prepared about how beautiful she looked without sounding like I had rehearsed it. She tilted her head. Did you just lose motor function? Yes. A good start. You look beautiful, I said. Her teasing expression flickered. Thank you. I held out a small paper bag. She peeked inside and laughed. A stained glass sun? For your kitchen window, since I stole your wind chimes. You didn't steal them. You liberated the neighborhood. I'm still making amends. She took the bag carefully, like it mattered. Nolan. Too much? No. Her voice softened. Exactly enough. Dinner was easy in the way I hadn't known first dates could be. We ordered too much food. She stole my basil roll after claiming she only wanted a bite. I learned she hated white chocolate, loved storms, and had once broken her toe trying to prove to a room of 8-year-olds that she could still cartwheel. You cannot cartwheel, I said. I could before the incident. The incident being the cartwheel? Details. We laughed until the couple at the next table smiled at us. Halfway through dessert, Sabrina reached across the table and took my hand. I like this version of you, she said. Date Nolan? Chosen Nolan. My throat tightened. I like who I am with you, I said. Her fingers tightened around mine. Outside the restaurant, the streetlights had just come on. We walked slowly to my truck, not ready to end the night. At the passenger door, she turned to me. I'm going to kiss you now, she said. Thank God. She laughed, then rose on her toes and kissed me under the yellow glow of the parking lot light, one hand on my jaw, the other still holding the little son I'd given her. It was sweet at first, then not. When she drew back, her eyes were bright and a little dazed. Hot tub? She whispered. I smiled. You're not getting in that hot tub alone. Her grin flashed, and for the first time in a long time, I couldn't wait to go home. We made it as far as my patio gate before Sabrina stopped walking. What? I asked. She looked at the hot tub, then at me. I don't have a swimsuit. I glanced at her blue sundress. She arched an eyebrow. Do not get ideas. I would never. You just got 7 ideas. 8, but I respect boundaries. She laughed, and that sounded something to the night. It made the fence, the patio lights, the steam rising from the water all feel less like mine and more like ours. I have basketball shorts and a t-shirt, I said. Romantic. I can also offer a clean towel and emotional sincerity. Dangerous combination. 10 minutes later, Sabrina came out of my bathroom wearing my old gray t-shirt and a pair of drawstring shorts rolled twice at the waist. Her hair was twisted up again, this time with one of my pencils from the junk drawer. I stared. She glanced down at herself. What? You look... If you say adorable, I'll leave. Like you belong here. The teasing left her face. For a second, I thought I'd said too much. Then she crossed the kitchen, took my hand, and kissed my knuckles like I had given her something fragile. Careful, Nolan Hayes, she said softly. I might start believing you. That's the plan. We got into the hot tub under a sky full of small, stubborn stars. She sat beside me this time, without pretending it was accidental, her thigh against mine, her shoulder tucked under my arm. For a while, we didn't talk. That was new for me. Silence usually felt like a room I had to repair. With Sabrina, it felt furnished. Eventually, she said, Lauren texted me. I went still. What? She found me on social media, sent a message while we were at dinner. I sat up. Why didn't you say something? Because we were eating mango sticky rice and I have priorities. Sabrina. She sighed and leaned her head back. It wasn't bad. She said she hoped I knew you were a good man, that she messed up, that she wasn't going to interfere. I looked toward the fence. The old ache stirred, but it didn't own the room anymore. I'm sorry, I said. For what? For her pulling you into it. Sabrina turned my face back toward hers with wet fingertips. You didn't do that. I know, I just want everyone comfortable? I exhaled. It's a condition. We'll work on it. We? Her mouth curved. Yes, we. That one word hit harder than any confession. She shifted closer until she was half in my lap, one knee braced beside my hip under the water. My hands found her waist carefully, then less carefully when she smiled like permission. I don't want to rush you, I said. You invited me to dinner, told your ex you were seeing me, bought me stained glass, and kissed me like you had a personal grudge against oxygen. Her lips brushed mine. I think the horse has left the barn. I'm talking about the important parts. Her expression softened. I know, she said. And I don't want to rush either. But I do want to choose this, not drift, not assume. Choose. I held her gaze. Then I choose this too. She kissed me then, slow and certain, both hands sliding into my hair. I forgot the temperature of the water, the hour, the version of me who'd planned to spend his birthday alone with sad music and ginger ale. All I knew was Sabrina's mouth, her laugh when I pulled her closer, the way she whispered my name like she was trying it out in a future tense. The next morning, Lauren replied that she didn't need the sweater after all. Sabrina read the text over my shoulder while stealing toast from my plate. A legendary sweater, she said, appeared briefly, changed lives, vanished. I'm thinking of having a plaque made. Put it by the recycling bins, full circle. After that, things changed in the most ordinary, miraculous ways. Sabrina's stained glass sun went up in her kitchen window, where it threw yellow pieces of mourning across her floor. Biscuit began spending afternoons on my patio like he paid rent. I learned that Sabrina became quiet when she was worried, and she learned that I cleaned when I was avoiding feelings. She started saying, "Use your words, cabinet boy." I started saying, "Stop pretending you don't care, paint girl." We were annoying. We were happy. We were careful until we didn't need to be quite so careful. 3 months later, she gave me a drawer. Not officially. She just opened one in her dresser and said, "Your socks are ruining my aesthetic in that grocery bag." I looked into the empty drawer like it was a cathedral. "Are you crying?" she asked. "No. You're emotionally misting. I have allergies. To commitment? To dust. There is no dust. I cleaned because I was nervous." I pulled her into my arms. "Use your words, paint girl." She groaned against my chest. "I hate when you learn," but she said them. "I want you here," she whispered. "Not all the time if that scares you, but more. A lot more." I kissed the top of her head. "It doesn't scare me." She leaned back suspicious. "Not even a little?" "Oh, it terrifies me, but in a forward direction. That's acceptable." By the following spring, we weren't really neighbors anymore. We were two people with two townhouses and one life spilling happily across both. My tools ended up in her laundry room. Her paintbrushes appeared in my sink. Biscuit developed a strong preference for sleeping on my clean shirts. Maddie took full credit for everything and introduced Sabrina at family dinners as my best work. And the hot tub became exactly what Sabrina had declared it would be from the beginning. Not something I got into alone. On warm nights, after work and classes and the small bruises of normal life, she'd knock on my back door even though she had a key. 3 taps. Confident, impatient. Hers. Sometimes she wore a robe, sometimes one of my shirts, sometimes that blue sundress from our first date, just to watch me lose motor function all over again. One year after that first knock, I came home to find the patio lit with string lights, the speaker playing something suspiciously not sad, and Sabrina standing beside the hot tub in a white robe. My heart stopped in the best way. She pointed at me. "You're not getting in that hot tub alone." I set down my tool bag slowly. "Is that right?" "Yes, it's our anniversary." "Of our first date?" "Of me saving you from tragic jet testing." "Heroic of you." "I know." I walked toward her, smiling. "Do I get a gift?" She reached into her robe pocket and pulled out a small brass key. I stared at it. "My place," she said, suddenly not quite so bold. "For real, not just emergency cat access, not just socks. I want you to come in without knocking." I closed my hand around the key, then around hers. "I have a gift too," I said. Her eyes widened. "If it's wind chimes, we're over." I laughed and pulled a matching key from my pocket. She looked at it, then at me. "I want the same thing," I said. "Doors open, both ways." Her eyes shone. For once, Sabrina Bell had no quick comeback. So I kissed her under the patio lights, with steam rising behind us, and her key warm in my palm. She smiled against my mouth, and I knew with a certainty that felt simple and earned. I had not been rescued from loneliness. I had been invited out of it. And I had chosen the woman at the door. So tell me, what would you have done if your neighbor knocked on your door in a robe and said, "You're not getting in that hot tub alone"? Have you ever had someone unexpected to step into your life at exactly the right moment? Tell your story in the comments. And for those who'd like to be a little closer to us, we've opened memberships where you'll get shorter exclusive stories every week with no ads. If you like this one, leave a like, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next video.